How you going? Eben Walker. Let me take you now on a journey that you won't forget through some of the most pristine, remote countryside that is left on the continent of Australia. So let's go Walkerbout. The Kimberley region of WA is rugged and inhospitable, but breathtaking and diverse. From vast deserts to wild rivers, deep gorges and massive mountains, to a coastline that's largely uninhabited, uncharted and ravaged yearly by cyclones and some of the biggest tides in the world. Sounds like a great place to go on a walkabout. Broome is just a small port town on the Indian Ocean, the perfect base for any Kimberley adventure. We've just arrived in Broome, Cable Beach, and for years I've watched adventurers like Malcolm Douglas, the Bush Tucker Man, go off to all these exotic places all over Australia. I've always longed to get there. So what I've done, I've driven up here to the Kimberleys, Broome, this is where we're starting, and I'm just going to show you at home how easy it is to actually get to these spots. All you need is a good sense of adventure, a decent boat, and of course a good car, because there's a lot of travelling involved, and you can have a ball. So I've been on the road for a couple of days, I'm going to have a bit of a shave, a shower, tidy myself up, and tomorrow morning we're going to get right into it. So let's go. One thing's for sure in the Kimberley, you're ruled by the tide. This sure was the case on our first morning. I wanted to go out for a fish, but after a quick look at the tide chart, we were going diving, because it was one of the biggest low tides of the month. And this is exactly what we're looking for. All this exposed reef that's been left with the tide. In the many shallows and rock pools is where we'll hopefully find ourselves a feed of tropical green and painted cray. We've got one here. I'm just grabbing it. Got it. Here he is. Ow, it's spiky. Look at that. That's a green cray. You see the beautiful colours. Look at that in around the eye, blue, and a bit of a squeak then. We're just going to go off and get a couple more. We'll see if we can anyway. Look at that. That's a little painted cray, little baby painted cray. Beautiful colours on it. I tell you what, this spot in Broome here, it's just not far from Broome. It's the first day, and it's just been unreal. We've got this other cray here, this green cray we talked about before. And this tide, I'd love to stay here and get some more, but this tide's just rushing in. So we'll see how fast it's going, so I'm going to get out of here. After a top morning in the water, it was time to go. Back on the Pindan soil, dust and corrugations back to Broome. And off to the beautiful turquoise waters of Cable Beach, it was time to put the boat in. When you don't want to get your car anywhere near the water, a good way to launch the boat is just to fit a big jockey wheel to the trailer, push the trailer, the boat that works straight into the drink, tip it off, and pull it out by hand, click it back on the car and drive it away, and your car doesn't get anywhere near the water. Away. We only just got the boat in gear and we found ourselves in the middle of a feeding frenzy. Fish knocking bait fish up everywhere. I tell you what, when you hook up to one of these little beauties, they really go hard. And they're dirty little fighters too. When you get them close to the boat, they try and cut you on the hull every pass. This little Mackie we've got now, if we can keep him connected, he's going into the esky. Because the flesh on these fish makes excellent bait. Wouldn't be a bad idea to get a good netter on board as well.
What do you want me to lift? He's coming around. Oh, yeah. Alright.
And just look at the shape of these fish. They're built for speed.
Oh, imagine a 60 kilo one.
It's hard to leave these schools of tuna. It's been so much fun. We wanted to push out wide in search of a couple of Big Mac.
Hell. All right. Get yours in and follow it, mate, or we'll have nothing left. That's a big fish. A real big fish. Hang on. Joke. We'll have to chase him. He's charging the boat to bucket. Oh, Big Mac! Still on. That was him. See how fast that is?
Yeah, that was a jump, mate. That was jumping up.
Shark! Oh no, shark's getting you bastard! No! Oh, no way! Oh! Now to hook up to the shark! No! Dog! I'm going to lose that deal because I can feel him tail pumping on the lure.
Unreal. In a matter of minutes, man, that was just download away.
Oh,
Trace. Just mauled the trace.
oh. Well, there we have it, fishing off Broome. This spot here is actually Disaster Rock. And we've been bait fishing for a few minutes and had no luck, and we put the lure out the back for, it wouldn't have been 1 minute. And we hooked a big mackerel, I don't know, at least 20 kilos. And then the whalers come in. Tuna, sushi. We can see the difference there of the two, the colours in the flesh. This one here, on your left, is that mac tuna. It's very red. You can see it. It'd be very, very fishy, a very strong taste. Whereas the other tuna here is nearly white in sections. And when it cooks, it actually goes a whitey, really light brown. But again, so you can see this section through the middle here, and that has to be, that actually is the bloodline. And that's what gives most fish their taste. So we're going to actually cut that out, and we'll have some beautiful fish fillets there. We can either crumb them or just on the barbecue.
Time to clean up, head home and have a couple of cold beers. What a top day. It's a new day, and I've been invited out to chase a few big lizards with some local lads. It's great to see these young fellas out in the bush still chasing bush tucker and having a great time in doing so.
Hey, let's have a look. Look at this. He's waiting. He's trying to get in the hole. He's a good one. He's a big one. We'll have to dig him as we go. Here he comes. Here we come, my boy. Oh, you got some power. Oh, yeah. Yeah, powerful creature. You can see, as we've been going along, we've been finding these little burrows, but nothing's been home yet. But as you can see, this fella is, and he's a big boy. Ah, his head's out. His head's out already. Look at his head. Just here, look. Now what you got to watch with these suckers, big fat bugger like that, is them claws. Looks like he's just had a feed, or is that his tongue maybe, I don't know. But look at that for a creature. Absolutely fantastic, but I made a mistake before of putting my hand under his belly there, and them claws will really take a piece out of you. But he's a beauty. We're going to eat him, boys? Let's go. That's a ripper, isn't it? As I spent the day out in the bush with them boys, it was a great feeling to be part of an age-old tradition, to be out hunting and gathering bush tucker. Back on the road again, and we're heading out to the beautiful Fitzroy River to try our luck with the local barramundi population. All of the Fitzroy fishes really well, but we're going to push right out to the back blocks at some of the big water holes in search of a sparsely fished bit of water. We're up in Barra country. As you can see, beautiful river here behind us. More often than not, where the Barra live, you got flies, mozzies and sandflies. And there's nothing worse after being on the water, hard days fishing, than not being able to sleep good because you're getting attacked by bugs all night. Now this tent here, it's made by Southern Cross. It's made of nice strong canvas, but the beauty about this tent is how simple it is to use. And I'll show you how that happens. Simply, all we do is peg the base out, 8 pegs, and then this main tent peg here, you just clip it together. It comes in 2 pieces, and quite simply, all you do is leave the door open, as we've got here. Walk into it. It's got a solid roof, and it's got a notch in the roof, and you just push this up like that. Too easy. Wonderful tent. As you can see, either side's got a window, so you get a good breeze too in the tropics here. And very importantly, as we said, it's got the good netting. So Southern Cross have done a good job. Excellent tent, that. All right, sun's just going down. We've set up the camp. Next thing to do is get ourselves a good feed. So we brought these camp ovens. One I use here for the leg and the vegetables, and this one here I usually use for the bread. We've just made that. That's sat there for a little minute, and it's starting to rise up. So quite simply, pop it in there. In went half the paddock. That's all right. Nice natural taste. Give that a bit of a wallop around. Now, unlike a lot of cooking that we do at home, when you use these camp ovens, you have to get a nice no flame at all, and you just want to cook on the actual coal. So this piece of bread here, we'll put that bread there. Here's the lid. Alright, we've got the bread in. What we've got here is just a cutting of lamb. It's not barramundi, but I tell you, in these things it's just as good. Now what you've got to do is it usually cooks in its own juices, but I like to put a little bit of oil in there. Just helps things get along, going a little bit better. Quite simply place that in that oil. Pop the lid on.
Now you've got to get the actual meat in a good hour to an hour 15, depending on the size of that meat before you put the vegetables. As you can see, the fire, there's no flame at all, it's simply just coals, and that will cook fantastic. Alrighty, we've just checking this bread, should be about ready. It's been on there for about an hour and 20 minutes. Look at that. That's beautiful. These camp ovens are fantastic. Oh, wonderful. Whoops. That's perfect. It's quite hot, but that was some peanut butter or Vegemite. Beautiful. The rest of the meat and the veggies isn't quite ready yet. It needs probably another 5 or 10 minutes, and we're going to get into that as well. Unfortunately, this afternoon we never got a barra to join it to make a real meal of it, but I'm sure in the morning, with the right tides and that, we'll find something. That's fantastic. Beautiful fit. We'll just let that cool down and we'll get into that in a minute. Beautiful. Up early and we've found a beautiful piece of water to fish. A rock bar, heaps of good snags and a deep hole, all in the one large pool. This is what I call barramundi heaven. Here we are, out on the Fitzroy, the local boy Ralphie. He said he guarantees a couple of barra, and here's the first one of the day. Not a big fish, but oh, little barra, giving him heaps. Yeah, we'll look him up and have a look at him. Oh. Beautiful. Look at that. Beautiful little fish. Look at that. First barra of the day. He's not a big fish, but he's a nice clean looking fish. He's a male. He's about 45 or 48 centimetres. It's looking good here in this pond, up on the Fitzroy. We'll put him back. When they bite down, like he has on my finger, he's ready to go. See if we can get a bigger one. With their legendary big hits, head shakes and leaps out of the water, you can often lose a barra early in the fight. All the more enjoyable when you do land one of these beauties. Woohoo! Look at that. He's actually not a bad fish at all. Here he comes. Right in. Woo! Look at that. That's a nice fish. Look at that. The elusive barramundi Fitzroy barra. That is awesome. That's a great fish. What a ripper. We've lost about, at least 2 or 3 just there, haven't we? Beautiful. Great fish. Look at the mouth on it. It's all over the lens. It's a great feeling to see these fellas slip back into the water. After a good battle, let him go to where he belongs. Oh.
There you go.
I'll just back up. Look at that. That is a ripper.
Right, so we're going to put him down here.
Okay, we've got this little fella.
Make sure the mouth's closed when you measure him up.
Mouth closed when you're measuring him. He's roughly 63 long. And what they've been doing is a tag. We'll put this in here. Just put it in and release it. Pull it out. There you have it. The tag is put in. It's got a number here on the card. It's also got the same number on the tag. What you do is you just fill this card in here and it goes into the fisheries, and then they can check to see if the fish are growing or if they're moving or whatever.
Okay, with these little ones, they're not real knocked up at all. You don't really have to swim them, but we will anyway. As soon as they bite down there, you can see they're ready to go. He's biting there now, so he'll be quite all right to go. The Fitzroy, good river. Into another one. This is, they've just come on. It's been quiet all day. And, oh, beautiful fish. Beautiful fish. Nice yellow tail. Been spat off about 6 times here, and they just sort of come up. Oh, another nice fish. He's even bigger. Just such a powerful fish. They just come up. A couple of shakes of that head. You can see how they come up, and they've got a really hard mouth there. And they come up and they shake their head. Next thing, your lure's gone. What an awesome fish. That is beautiful. That is beautiful.
Barra country is crocodile country.
See him here? Scratch marks coming up the bank. Jeez, it's hot. Woo!
And the small freshwater crocodile likes to bury his eggs on the top of the steep sandy riverbanks.
Oh, look at this one. Oh, you're joking. Little baby freshwater. It's a bit smelly. That's you can see it's actually not developed. It's sort of hatched, but it hasn't been formed properly. You can see its stomach hasn't closed up. That's not real old neither. We probably only just missed this nest by a couple of days. Let's have a little look in here. A couple more shells. That's the barra, she's finished. Anyway, we'll have a bit of a look around because there's tracks going everywhere here in the bank. So there's been a lot of activity, but by the looks of that, these eggs, you can see maybe we're just a little bit late. That's still sort of moist, but as you can see, that little fella, sadly he never made it. But anyway, it looks like there's a healthy population in the river, so most of them are making it anyway. Little freshie. Something I've always wanted to do is catch one of these crocs on a blowout. He's a ripper. Look at that. Oh. They're a beautiful creature. Like a big goanna, but much bigger teeth. I reckon he'd snap you one. Hey! Yeah. I'm totally stoked. That's so good. Okay. Oh, okay, little fella. He's getting a little agitated, so I'm going to let him go.
This little fellow was so happy to get back in the water, his feet never even touched the ground. After a few good days on the Fitzroy, it was back to Broome for a few supplies. Then up the Dampier Peninsula Road to One Arm Point and the beautiful Sunday Island. The Peninsula Road is 220 k's of red pindan soil, ruts, corrugations and sandholes. And when towing a boat, you've got to take extra care. It could take up to 4 hours. As we pulled up to make camp, I noticed a small python just crossing the track right in front of us. This little fella was as friendly as they come.
What a lot of people do with snakes is they try to actually, they try to grab them at the back of the head, and that's where their ears and that are, and that usually really makes the snake very aggressive. And of course, if you've got a venomous snake, you've got to actually catch it like that. But these harmless snakes, sure they can bite you, but actually they won't kill you. Yeah. It has been done before. I have been bitten before by these pythons, but We'll see what happens with this fella. He doesn't seem too worried. He's actually, I can actually feel his tongue there. He's actually rubbing against me. He's going, oh, he's good to eat.
But just check the power of these little snakes, and such beautiful creatures.
That's Jim. He's playing music to him in the background.
He said, look,
Look at the strength of that snake. That is fantastic.
He's just following my hand.
Anyway, this little fella was on his way to somewhere, so we'll let him get on about his business. A short drive from last night's camp, and we're here. One arm point.
And we've got a local, Brucey Wiggins. He's going to take us out around Sunday Island. It's about 15 to 20 minute run in the boat of this size. We're just going to do a bit of camping, a little bit of fishing. We're going to check the island out. There's a few camps on there we want to have a look at and a bit of fresh water. So we'll get right into it. Across this strait here, you can see the tide's nice and calm today, so it'll be a good day for it.
Buccaneer Archipelago, which is made up of hundreds of islands, bays, reefs and beaches. And I just can't wait to get in amongst it. On our way to Sunday Island, we witnessed the annual migration of the humpback whales. These huge creatures come to the warmer waters of the archipelago every year to give birth and to nurture their young. It was amazing to get this close to this big mother whale and a young. What a wonderful experience. The first look at Sunday Island was mind-blowing. The colours were unbelievable. Turquoise water, deep red rocks, white sand and a beautiful blue sky. If ever there was a paradise, this had to be it. And what a privilege it was to be able to visit it with the permission of the local Bardi people.
Oh, good to see you.
Bruce was born on Sunday Island and he was keen to show me around. In the early 1900s, a mission was established on the island, and it became home to some 50 Aboriginal people. Now though, the island is totally uninhabited.
Like I was born here, and brought up here, and then we left from here when I was a little fella, and I didn't know what was happening. And they shifted us to Davie and then to One Point.
After a quick chat to Bruce, he put me under a couple of his local spots, and we were out to get ourselves a feed.
Look at the size of these black lips oysters we've found. They are unbelievable. Look at them. These ones here. Look at that, they nearly take your palm up. They're fantastic and they're so sweet. We found that the rocks around here are covered. There's thousands of, like, what someone back home would think is a good size oyster about this round. But if you look closely, you can find these big black lipped ones. But they're usually in under a crack. They're not just sitting out in the rock like this. But yesterday we come across some Aboriginal people and they had ones, honestly, twice, if not bigger, if not more than these ones. They were massive. We thought they were boiling rocks up. But anyway, we're going to get a few more here. We've got a good feed. We're going to get a few more, and then we're going to go out in the boat and see if we can't get a few fish as well. We'll have a big feed tonight. They're fantastic. We'll just get a couple more while we're here. Ready? Yep. Look at that one. That there covers my whole hand. Look at the meat in there. Look at that. It's more like a mussel than an oyster. Fantastic.
With the esky full of oysters, all we had to do is go and chase ourselves the main course.
Important thing is to keep the fish on the bite is just
keep giving them a little bits of bait, a lot smaller than that. But this, I cut this strip bait out of a queenfish we got earlier. And what I found, you want it to sort of float quite naturally. So in and out, probably twice, just like that. Keep that barb out. You want that barb exposed. That should just dangle down, no sinker. That's what we want. And like I said, just keep a little bit of burley up to them, and you'll keep them on the bite for as long as till the sharks come in anyway. Just let the bait set. They've got a very soft mouth and a little bit of pressure and you've got him. He's about to hit the surface over here. And because we've been burling, we might try and get this fella up because I think we have sharks. Try and keep him at the surface. You find the trevally, oh, sharks, there'll be sharks here. When they start doing that, we're going to have some shark problems. Look at him. Jim's on as well. We've got fish going everywhere, Jim. If we don't get this fella up, we're going to be in trouble. Here he comes. Where's that net? Oh, he's a nice fish. He's a nice fish. He's a nice fish, look at that.
I'm going to chuck it on the big rod.
A beautiful fish. Golden trevally. A lot of fish here. But we found this spot here, and with the neap tides we managed to actually fish the bottom for once, and there's plenty of fish here. We might put this fella back in, I think. We'll just give him a spear. Gone. Alright. Ah, shark straight into him. This is lunch. We got sharks chasing us. He's giving them heat. Get out of the deep, get out. Here he comes. Come on. That trevally snaffled the bait. And then he was bait. He had about 8 sharks chasing him there. Can't even get any lunch here now. Sharks are back in town. Anyway, we'll try again. Now this is how. Sorry, mate. This is how we get ourselves a feed in the tropics, away from the sharks. 2 seconds and he's in the boat, because honestly we'd have no hope at getting on a rod. He's a stumpy. Really lovely. As you can see, straight in, straight over. If you're serious about something deep. Ah, little sweet lip. We found this spot here this morning, and we've got a good array of fish already in the esky. So we're going to head back in a minute. I'm going to cook some up on the beach, have some lunch, because we're going to have lunch about 3 hours ago and we're still going. But we'll just catch a few more, because if they're coming on the bite now and we can get Mum and Dad, we'll be happy. They're fantastic eating little fish. Look at that, little blue around its eyes. Little emperor. I think they call them snapper up here. This place is unbelievable. I just caught a little cod of some description, and as you can see, I couldn't get him to the boat fast enough, and again, this is what they do to your hooks up here. Got a bit of a catch of fish. Got some trevally. It's a pretty basic sort of fish. A lot of people don't think it's much good to eat, but I'll show you a couple of ways when it tastes pretty good. This trevally's already been filleted and just cut into nice thin strips. Quite simply, just got an egg, 2 eggs, whip them together, yolks and all, bowl full of breadcrumbs, put it in, sort of a toss it around, cover the fillet up, and you just turn it around, and there we have it, crumb trevally. And I tell you, it tastes good. Another way to go is get a bag and some just plain self-rising flour, a little bit of salt, some lemon pepper, whatever you got really, just to spice it up, bit of all seasons. Now quite simply, in this case, you just grab your fillet like that, same deal, and the egg crumb, the eggs, and throw it in the bag, just give it a good shake, and there you have floured fillet. After you've floured and crumbed your fillets, you've got to place quite a lot of oil in your pan. Unlike a lot of other bush cooking where you're cooking the coals, to get this fish right you need a lot of heat, so you actually need an open fire. And once that's boiling, just place them in there, these fillets. Beautiful. You can see that, you can see they're bubbling away. That's how you want it. You want it like a deep fry. Alright, when you're doing this with the hot oil, the fish cooks really quick, and you don't want to overcook it because it goes very hard. They've only been in there a few minutes, and they're ready to come out. Look at that, golden brown, just like the fish shop. That's the crumbed fillet, and that there is your floured fillet, and that's cooked. And that wouldn't have been in that oil for more than about 2 minutes. Unfortunately, tomorrow morning we've got to head back to the peninsula. We've got to leave Sunday Island behind, and what a place it is. This place is fantastic. We've had a ball here, fishing, crabbing, and just the scenery around us has been fantastic. But back on the peninsula, we've heard of some other good spots, so we want to go and check those out. And of course, we've only got a certain amount of time. You can't spend weeks at each place. But anyway, we're going to have something to eat now and pack up and get ready for the morning. We've probably had better fish in restaurants, but I sure as hell haven't had a better view than that. Wonderful. Very good.
I've heard a lot about these big mud crabs that live in the creeks up around here, so we're going to go out and see if we can't find ourselves a few. These crabs live in some pretty inhospitable country. The deeper and the darker the mangroves are, the better.
So this little crab here, it's only a little one. Tell it's a little female. I'll show you how you can tell that. You can see here this organ here. That's what carries the roe, and they don't usually get as big as the bucks or the male crabs. But this is the prime time to look for a few crabs. We've had a big tide. The low's gone out now, so this is when you'll find them in the burrows. So we'll go and get a couple of bigger ones. You can see just here what's going on. You've got a big male crab and the smaller female in front of her, and they're actually mating. Now I don't want to disturb them too much, because of course this is a really healthy sign for a creek system. So this is what they do. They get either right at the front of the big male's holes, or they get in the shallow water after the tide's gone out, and that's when they do their mating. But he's a nice crab, but we'll leave him there, okay? We'll just sneak off. See here, we've got this little fella. They're cranky. Oh, that's a female too. Another female you can see on this one. A real large flat. So we'll let her go. The females have always got a lot smaller nippers, you know, and they're not much good to eat anyway. There you go, girl. See if we can find a big male. That's what we're after. Okay, now this is a really good burrow. Hole in the tree. You can see here he's cleaned on the last tide. Bit of shells he's been having a feed. So we'll just see if anybody's home. Now, that's a really good sound. When you hear that, you know they're in there. Listen, it's like porcelain. Hear that? He's at home. Oh yeah, he's a nice crab, that one. You can probably hear how that's really tinny. And that's his big claw hitting the aluminium. Now, even though that's not a big burrow, you can see it's just the base of a tree. They've all got those little, usually on the roof or on the side, where they jam themselves in, you can't get them out. But the secret is just perseverance. Just keep going, and eventually he's having a go at you the whole time. He gets tired, so when he gets a bit more tired, you can get him out. Don't worry. He's a big crab. Ooh, yeah. Woo! Now, that crab is a ripper. Look at that. Big buck crab. You can see by the narrow sex flap there. He's a male. He's a real bright colour, like that orangey, tanny sort of colour. But he's a ripper. He'd be a good feed, that fella. But you can see by those nippers, look at the size of that. You know, like that's a big crab, and he'll taste real good. But what I'll do is I'll show you how to tie these fellas, because what they do is if you've got an esky or a bag and you put them in, they fight, they crush each other up. So there's a simple way just to tie them, and it keeps all these nippers out of harm's way. But he's a ripper. Really happy to have him. So what it is, this part here, this is what we call the carapace. And we just put that string around the front. Any string's good. Now, just have your wits about you when you're doing this. Like, this fella's a bit tired because we've been having a bit of a tug of war in that hole he was living in. But when you get crabs out of the pot, straight off the bottom of the river, they've got a lot more power in them. So be careful, and they are really quick, surprisingly quick. They can have a piece of you before you even know it hit you. So what you do then, like we said, round the front, under them back flipper legs, or the digging legs. Just put a granny's knot there, will do. Another one. And there you have it. Just give him a wash. Look at that. Beautiful. We're going to head back and cook him up. There's a good food in those nippers, I tell you. Today we have had a ball. We've had some really good days up here, but look at what we had today. Look, we've got mud crab and big mud crab. We've got well over 1 kilo painted cray, we caught just out the front. We've got a wok here full of cleaned mud crab, ready to go. And everybody's got their own recipe, right? But I'm going to show you two that are really good, especially for the crab. First one we're going to do is we're just going to scrape the coals to the side, and we're going to put him in the coals like that. But before you do that, one little tip, right, is just drop the whole crab upside down in the salt water, and this base here, the carapace, that actually fills up with water, and it acts like a little cooking pot. And with that salt water in it, they taste great. So we're going to put this little fella on the coals, and then we're going to go to this cray, because that is a ripper. What we do is we just pull these coals out to the side. We don't want too much heat for this crab. Get it away from the main fire. That there is just perfect. So physically all we do now is put him, oh that's hot. One thing to remember is just keep an eye on that crab, because like normal seafood they go red and they cook really quickly on the coals there. Now onto this fella. Look at the size of it. It is a ripper. Painted cray. What we're going to do is we're really going to spoil ourselves tonight. We're going to pull this tail off and just twist, bit of a twist. There you go. Look at that. Oh, look at that. That is, there's about half a kilo on that tail. That's fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually get a knife and we're going to cut that tail and we're going to pull that meat out and we're going to slice it really thin. And we've got a fry pan over here. We've got some butter in there and we're going to put some garlic in with it and we're going to steak this tail and it will be fantastic. Now my preferred way of cooking these crabs, everybody's got their own recipe and their own special way of cooking it, but in the wok it's great because we're not going to actually boil them. I think that boils the goodness out of them, but we're going to steam them. You can see there's just a little bit of water. These crabs have been cleaned, all the guts have been taken out and the heads are gone, and simply all we do is just pull the coals out like we've got there. Beautiful, nice, even coals. And we'll just place that on there like that. That sounds really hot. That fire's beautiful. And then what we've got to do is importantly put the top on. You can see that. They're cleaned, ready to go. Put the top on there. Next thing is we're going to add these little lobster steaks. Now, you can see there's probably 15 or 20 of them and they're going to cook really quick. Oh, little chunks of some of the best meat or seafood that you'll ever have. Let's put that back there. And you've got to keep an eye on this because it's going to cook really quickly. Oh, that garlic is smelling absolutely wonderful. All right, that crab, the one we put on the coals, it's beautiful and red, and he's sounding and smelling just perfect. Very hot. Whoa. Oh. Let's put him there. Look at that, red, cooked to perfection. You'd pay a fortune for a meal like this, truly. This is unbelievable, this place. What we'll do is we'll just check this crab here. Oh, look at that. That is a perfect way to cook these steamed mud crabs. Absolutely beautiful. All right, another few minutes on them and they'll be ready to go as well. Look at this. That's the mud crab out of the coals, and I'm telling you, it is perfect. Oh, excuse me, but that is unbelievable. Over here we've got the steamed mud crab, looking perfect and smelling fantastic. And over here, look at this, lobster steak in garlic butter. Let's try that. That is fantastic.
Sadly, it's me last night in the Kimberley, but it's been probably one of the best. But I'm going to roll out the swag now and watch the heavens put on their show, because tomorrow we've got to push off home.
Look at this. This is unbelievable. Big painted cray. It's about a kilo and a half. That is awesome. We got some like reasonable sized ones at the beginning of the trip, but this thing here has topped the trip off. Look at the size of that cray. It is amazing. Look, the Kimberley is a blowout place. I love it. We've had so much good time here, you know. We've been running around in the bush, having a ball, fishing, crabs, crays. It's awesome. But anyway, we've got to head off now, so I hope to see you again when we go walkabout. That's unbelievable. We're bogged. Like I said, the army's going to try and get through and push us, pull us through. This is a wild. This river's come up, phenomenal.